All right, good morning, folks. Welcome on back here this Thursday, June 2nd. Great to see Grant, Norman, Leda, and all of us live inside the Cyber Group room. Great to see all of us joining us back again on social media, Facebook Live or YouTube. Fausto out once again here. My name is Josh Levitan. For those of us unfamiliar with myself, I do the afternoon meetings on YouTube and Facebook Live. Of course, for all of us live inside the trading room, you folks know. Let's hop right to it, folks, here. We have the PDSB trade on the screen to begin. It's up like 18%. It was running up beautifully going into this meeting. So, let's talk about this run. Let's talk about why this stock ended up making the push that it made to begin. Market's really flat right now. So just to get that out the way, like not a whole lot really happening in pre-market here so far. Market really just flat, up a tiny amount. It's actually making a little bit of lower highs on the intraday chart. But, hey, PDSB, this was not featured on the C2 pre-market watch list. Why? Well, because when Fausto normally puts the list out, he puts it out at 7:45 Eastern time, right? Like before the 8 o'clock move. So it gives our students and members inside the trading room, like Kathleen and Phil and Grant and Norman, who had a really nice pre-market himself. It gives students a lot of time to prep and find the levels. But, hey, after 8 o'clock, that we're going to look to rescan the market, and see if there's anything else right away after. And with that, PDSB started to make a nice push. So we were really on top of this trade from the get-go. There's a headline out on this trade. PDSB granted FDA fast track designation for lead candidate PDS 0101. There's a whole article, probably 3/4 of the words I can't pronounce, so I'm not going to try. So, needless to be said, obviously some good news coming out here on PDSB with FDA fast track designation. What's interesting about this trade more than anything, I mean, easily we're going to put this on our list just to start, right? Cheap stock, it's up big, trading good volume, all that good stuff. But is there anything else on this trade for all of us live inside the trading room that would pique my interest even more for this stock? Even more. I mean, it's up big, it's cheap, trading great volume. Again, perfect. Exact type of stock that you would want to follow. But what else about this trade makes it pretty interesting? What if this fails to continue to run higher? Because, hey, we've had a couple of, duds on the pre-market list so far, IMMX being one of them. Norman says shortable. Absolutely. So, hey, we're obviously respecting this move up first, right? We're not going to try to just short this here, folks, right? But in the event where this fails to continue to push, much like SIGA, if you folks recall when we first traded SIGA, which if you can give me a chance to get to here, this crazy thing was shortable the whole damn time on TradeStation. Now, that may not be the case on your platform if you're not on TradeStation. So, always check with your broker. But, that's just the icing on the cake right there for me. So, obviously, for PDSB, we're going to, respect the news, respect the buying more than anything on this, run up. But if this fails to run, then we can find this as a pretty interesting short opportunity. I wrote in the trading room earlier for this stock as well, just before we started that, hey, just I would assume 5 to be a big level anyway. But from the historical charts, daily, weekly chart more than anything, around 5, 495 to 505, kind of that 10-cent range is going to be a pretty strong area. So, the more this pushes up, you can try and look for that to be a major top, if anything. All right. So we have a couple of duds here that we ended up calling out as well, obviously. MF in pre-market here, it was on our pre-market list, rightfully so. But, hey, if you've been in our trading room long enough, and even if not, I mean, hey, for a couple of us on YouTube or Facebook Live that are regular attendees here and listen to Fausto every morning, you see these like cheapies that are like, up at times. We're never really too interested in these stocks below $1 because normally they don't make as concise or clean of a move. So, with this, it was already up like 55, 60% right at 8 o'clock in the morning when it was already on the list. We'd called it out as it was at like 37, 38 cents. It pushed up a bit, but just after 8 o'clock, this thing did not make any sort of respectable breakout after, no signs of buying after, or at least just yet. It's possible maybe after the open we could see it, but for right now, I'm not really as particular about this one. The IMMX trade, unlike the PDSB, this one is hard to borrow, can't short it. And I bring that up to you because, well, for as much as this pumped up in after hours and early in pre-market, you would really hope to see, another run after 8 o'clock, right? Oh, it didn't get it. Actually, so much so, I'll peel back the curtain a bit, folks. And for all of us inside the trading room, I say this all the time. I rarely have the chance to trade pre-market. I got too much crap on my plate here in pre-market, folks. I'm lining up my charts for the morning for the next 6 hours of my day, answering emails, making PowerPoints for Fausto and myself, answering private chats from students, which is my job. So I don't have like the time to like focus on me in pre-market always. And that's all right. I know my boundaries. All right, well, this stock, IMMX, I traded pre-market. I jumped in right over 264. So for all of us live inside the trading room, you know how much I was emphasizing 264. I was like reposting that a couple of times. The only reason I repost that is because I'm actually looking at that myself for a trade. Like I'm in it already, or I'm looking at that right away to jump in. All right, well, I was in from 265. I got out at 261, took a 4-cent loss. At the end of the day, I'm happy I got out where I did. It ended up only dropping off even further. So I'm sure I'll make that money back once the market opens up. But, whether it's on this or something else, at least I'm sure I will. But IMMX will put back on our list for the morning. It's still really tradable. So, I don't like the fact it's still slumping off. We need to see a lot more buying coming in on this trade. But, for right now, I'll give this a second look. We'll see if we can get this to push back up and over 264. But at this point now, I would only assume for that to be resistance, 264 initially. For the amount of selling that we had that led to the breakdown of that level, that should be resistance there at first. All right, so let's see what else we got here, folks, because we had a couple of others that we had on the list, a couple of others that we called out after. RPTX, Repair Therapeutics, we called this out after the 8 o'clock move. It was pushing up beforehand, but I was pretty reluctant. It had really thin volume on the book prior to 8 o'clock, and it still does. But ended up showing a lot more volume getting traded. Either way, it hasn't made a great push since. Hopefully, after the morning opens up, after the market opens, it will. But it seems like there's some big move happening coming up here. It looks like it's coiling up for a big move. So RPTX we'll put on our list for right now. You got Chuck calling out Redbox here, which I did see like early in the morning. It was up like 5 or 6%. Now it's up near 13. Well, now over 13. So, yeah, that's definitely making a push, I would imagine, for it too. So we'll likely be putting that on our list. CHWY here, as we just continue to go down for right now. CHWY, I think, came out with earnings where we ended up seeing a huge pop in the after hours. And, going into the pre-market, if anything, you would be hopeful to see this, if not make a big move right away after 8 o'clock for it to at least hold. I guess you could say it's holding the pre-market low from 4 o'clock in the morning, but I wanted this to hold off of 28, and there was a pretty big order on the bid that got broken through at 28.10. So, again, much like we just saw on the IMMX trade, 28, 28.10 coming up after the market opens up. That should be a pretty big resistance here on this CHWY trade. But, for right now, I'll slip this on the list. All right, let's jump to we got PDSB on the list already. That looks pretty good. Let's just jump back to that because I think I had a couple of levels plotted out here already. This is the only stock I took the time to actually chart myself. I'm kind of relaying this off of my other screen here. But actually, how about this? I'll jump to the weekly chart because this initially held really well. I was calling out 5 as a historical level from the weekly chart here, but I also had lined up the weekly closes I had here. I think it was right from here. 456, the close from May 13th. The open the following week, that Monday, 447. Well, the combination of those two plus just 50-cent level, $4.50. Big drop off after, right? And you may assume for 450 to hold, initially just as that's just a 50-cent level. But the more evidence that there is to anticipate resistance, you certainly expect a bigger reaction from that area. And already this thing's dropped off just about 20, 25 cents, right? So it's always the reaction, off a level that we find important. So, yeah, PDSB, I mean, hey, it's actually pulling back down right now. This could have potentially been a good short right from there. But, again, I'm respecting the uptrend first. All right, red box from Chuck. Yes, right away. Down. All right, so let's just see if there's any news on this. It's not a deal breaker either way. I'm just curious. Yeah, there's no news on this red box trade for this morning, it seems. All right by me. I mean, the stock's been really volatile in a good way for us. I say in a good way because it's been very liquid, right? There are are stocks that are volatile and illiquid, and those are dangerous. Those are not good stocks to trade, day to day more than anything. But, Redbox here, day to day, this stock has been volatile and it's been really liquid. So it's been a great trade for us. Very similar to CHWY. So Redbox we'll put on our list for right now. SIGA here right now, this thing's just flat on the morning, not even just on the intraday chart here, but just net percent change wise. So, this will be on the side list. But all right, let's see what else we got for right now, folks. Just keep going down the gainers side first. Path, we ended up seeing the stock make a huge drop off back in the beginning of April. You could see there, or late March it was, but those types of drops you recall ended up only continuing to pull back from there. And ended up making a big pop in the after hours. I'm sure off of earnings, that would be my guess. But it's just like spotty right now. It's not showing a whole lot in terms of volume. Looking at the order book, like we just talked about, if there's a stock that's moving but it's thinly traded, it's a lot more dangerous and just harder to read as a whole compared to something that's just more liquid. So I don't know. This one's not really doing it for me. It's shortable potentially if it fails to break out. It could be a short and all that stuff, but I don't know. I'm not really too particular about this. All right, let's see what else we got here. Bohr, I think this is an oil or a drilling stock, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Bohr drilling. Spotty chart too. So, up 5%. This one's right within our price range, trading 151,000 shares on the morning so far. So volume total, that looks good, but man, that's just a spotty chart, like points of inactivity, if anything. I'm certain after the market opens up, that order book will fill in, but I want to see if there's anything looking even better, for right now. If this pops after the open, I'm sure that we'll be there to call it out. But, I want to keep this kind of on the back burner here first. That's it from the gainer side. Let's hop on over to the losers list here. Like I said, the markets were flat pre-market so far. They're like up a tiny amount, but like barely anything. Not a whole lot really happening across the S&P. So IMMX is on the gainer side. This is going to be a pain in my ass this morning. IMUX is on the loser side this morning. For anyone that suffers with traders' dyslexia here, you got IMMX on gainers, you got IMUX on losers, and guess what? Both are pretty much the same price, right? $2.50 stock, just about. So don't get tripped up on these folks. If you think that's a joke, it kind of is. It's mostly like really like a caution because, that could happen to anyone, myself included. I would assume the same for Fausto, right? But IMUX right now here making a huge drop off early in pre-market. It made a nice little dead cat bounce since. A couple of us inside the live trading room ended up jumping in and out on this. I think Norman and Grant, if I'm not mistaken. Hey, it's still there at the highs right now. The highs since 8 o'clock, trending up really nicely. But yeah, IMUX will put on our list. And much like PDSB, this stock is shortable. So, coming off of bad news, this was like some sort of pharma phase 1 clinical trial news that came out. I posted the headline, I believe, early in the chat board. But, hey, the stock is coming off bad news. You would expect for it to drop. After this temporary squeeze up, you would assume the drop. Well, this stock is actually easy to borrow. It's shortable. So, in that sense, this could be a really good trade here for after the open. All right, so we got IMUX, we got AI. This one is down big too, coming off of some sort of news. Let me just get the news here one last time. I want to make good use of my time here, but we'll grab the news on this AI trade. So AI, nothing interesting on this one. Just Q1 guidance or fiscal year sales guidance below analyst estimates, so earnings related. And we typically know with guidance, whether it's good or bad, that's usually the bigger talking point with the earnings report that's out. So even if they ended up beating the EPS or the sales estimates, if guidance overall is weak ahead, that is no bueno. And with this, ended up making a big drop down over 21% right now. I like this one. I mean, hey, it's trending down pretty nicely here heading into the open, right? Much like we always teach in phase 2 class. What's the direction of the stock leading into the open? Leading into the open from 8:30 to 9:30, from 9 o'clock to 9:30. Not only is it down percentage-wise, but it is trending down, and that's a pretty good sign for a short. A lot of selling coming in off of roughly 1485, 1484. So that should be a big level to follow. I don't even have my book map up. That's just me doing like classic tape reading here, looking at 85, 86 area. So if history happens to repeat itself in the sense of breaking below 1485, this would be a really good short. All right, let's see what else we got here, because there's a couple more that's just like hard to borrow, so can't really short those really. BHP, it's expensive, gap down, big volume spike. But and actually, just aside from this big volume spike, it's not really trading a whole lot of volume across pre. So, I mean, it's flat anyway, but we're going to pass. CPE, this one's trading a little bit more volume here across pre-market and on a more consistent level here too. Volume definitely died off after 8:30, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just shortable. Nothing really doing it here for me on the CPE. You got HPE, CPE, HPE. HPE, Hewlett Packard, at least a company we're familiar with. This one, at least, just pretty spotty. So, not a whole lot doing it for me on the loser side altogether, folks. Now we're dipping below 5% already. So, it might look lazy, but the loser side you could figure out really quickly just the more that you do it. But there's not really a whole lot from the loser side right here that's really piqued my interest. Yeah. So if there's anything else, folks, from YouTube or Facebook Live or from the live trading room here, Cyber Group, up or down, that 5% that we look for, type it in the chat board. Just let me know right here. Norman says BTOG came down to support at $1. Yeah, that was, I mean, again, I'm not going to say something in the trading room for nothing. BTOG was a pop and drop stock, right? That was the first thing I commented on with this trade. So it ended up making a big pop here. And at that point, we're interested and we start following it. But when you look at the volume traded day to day, this thing trades like crap volume day to day. So if it's going to fail to break higher, just look at the daily chart, because I'm certain just any other, that speaks for itself. But, either, any of these other like bigger red candles here, yeah, it ended up having a good pre-market, but completely dumped back down. History has a tendency to repeat itself. And then obviously you look what happened here back in the end of last year, into this year. So huge pop and drop there. So, that's where I'd comment on just generally, this is a pop and drop stock, right? And it threw me for a loop when it continued to make one more push up here, right? I wasn't expecting this last push, but same to be said, when the volume dies off, that's the bigger, point to focus on. When the volume dies off, so does the stock. All right, let's see if there's anything else from YouTube or Facebook Live. I don't think I have anything from YouTube. And then from Benzinga here, if there's anything lastly. Geez, I got one, but I don't know if it looks good. Just give me a quick second. SPRB, little pop right after 9 o'clock. Unfortunately, a pop and drop stock too. For right now, it's trading good volume and very liquid on the order book. And for as much as this stock had dropped over the last year and a half, probably, from over 25 down to like sub 2, you would think that this can make a nice little squeeze back up at some point. It looks like it tried to back at the end of last year on the daily chart, just looking here at the end of last year, pop, and then just from there it fizzled back out. But I don't know. I mean, I'll slip it on our list for right now. It'll be like the last one on there, but all right, folks. So that's pretty much it from me for all of us on Facebook Live and YouTube. You got Fausto back tomorrow morning, but how about this? You got Rich here in the afternoon. I am taking a small vacation beginning at 10:30 in the morning. You got me for the morning audio for all of us live inside the trading room, but I'm going to be taking a small little trip to Florida, Sunshine State. Going to be moving down there later on this year, or probably next month and a half. So I got to find a nice little apartment for me. So with that in mind, if you have any questions, folks, for all of us on YouTube and Facebook Live, feel more than free to send it on over through email. I got a nice 3-hour flight ahead, so I'll be writing back to all of us live inside the trading room that may have emailed me over the last day or two. And for all of us on social media, josh@c2trading.com is my email. So if you had any questions on stock trading, crypto trading, what we provide here at CTU, let me know. If you wanted to join our live trading room, of course, as always, feel more than free to go right down on the link on the blue banner below the stream right there. For Phil, Robert, Norman, Renzo, Skip, you folks got me here for the next hour and a half at least. So I look forward to it. We'll talk soon.
Become a Cyber Group member today. Just click the link below and receive all these amazing products and a world of knowledge for just $9.